歡迎各位。
Welcome everyone. We will first have a photo call.
I think 差唔多啦。
Then it's about it. I ask the panelists to get seated.
歡迎大家嚟
Welcome to the press conference on Hong Kong Major Transport Infrastructure Development Blueprint. We have with us Mr. Lam Sai-hung, Secretary for Transport and Logistics, Ms. Mabel Chen, Permanent Secretary for Transport and Logistics, Mr. Jimmy Chen, Director of Highways, Ms. Angela Lee, Commissioner for Transport, and Ms. Amy Wong, Deputy Secretary for Transport and Logistics. We'll first hear from the Secretary. After that, Ms. Wong will present the PowerPoint before we take questions. Secretary, good afternoon, everyone. The Chief Executive mentioned in the 2023 policy address that at the end of the year, the Hong Kong Major Transport Infrastructure Development Blueprint will be published. The blueprint covers the enhanced 3 railways and 3 major roads proposals and the addition of 2 railways and 1 major road to the east of the northern metropolis. Today, I am honored to have the opportunity to announce the blueprint. We will go to the panel on transport of the LegCo this Friday. The government's vision is to build a livable, competitive and sustainable Hong Kong through driving developments by transport infrastructure by adopting the planning principles of infrastructure-led and capacity creating. The blueprint aims to drive development, strengthen connection and improve efficiency in order to cater for the public and visitors' commuting demand as well as the city's development needs. The blueprint also promotes cross-boundary integration with the mainland, particularly with other Greater Bay Area cities and linking up with the world. The blueprint will consolidate in a forward-looking way all major transport infrastructure projects currently under planning, design and construction and outline strategic railway and major road networks up to 2046 and beyond. Transport infrastructure projects involve huge public resources and have significant socio-economic impacts. In 2020, we started the strategic studies on railways and major roads beyond 2030 to conduct analysis on the overall needs of the community in terms of transport. We are grateful for the invaluable opinions provided by different sectors in the community, and they have allowed us to tap into the collective wisdom and to improve the network. We will continue to listen to the views of the public and make use of the latest technology so that the community will be able to enjoy the convenience brought about by a more interconnected railway system network as soon as possible. I will now ask Ms. Wong to give you the presentation. Thank you. We will talk about our vision and objectives, how the blueprint is formulated, the aim, objectives, and matters such as implementation. As the Secretary mentioned, that our vision is for Hong Kong to have a diverse and highly efficient public transport system with railway as the backbone and an extensive road network in order to cater for the public and visitors' commuting needs and the city's needs in development. At the same time, we want to integrate with the mainland, especially with the GBA cities and the rest of the world. We adopt the principles of infrastructure-led and capacity creating in order to build a livable, competitive and sustainable Hong Kong. There are three objectives. First, we aim at driving development. We take into account the pace of our development by linking up major transportation networks in new areas. We also want to tap into the development potential of surrounding areas. We will also strengthen connection. We will strengthen cross-boundary connection with the mainland, and we will also further the coverage of major roads and railway services in order to enhance the options available to the public. Thirdly, we also aim to improve efficiency. We'll enhance the overall efficiency of different transportation services to shorten commuting time. When it comes to transport infrastructure, we need a huge amount of resources in order to continue to enhance the major transportation network. We have started in 2020 a strategic studies on railway and major roads beyond 2030. We've taken into account the long-term needs of Hong Kong. We've taken up an objective analysis of existing transportation network and projects that are in the pipeline. After we have done all these, we will look at what are the new projects and the proposed completion time. In the process, we listen to the public and various quarters of society. First, the long-term development demand. The major demand comes from the northern metropolis and the harbour metropolis. North metropolis covers Yuen Long and the northern districts, about 30,000 hectares of land and 2.5 million population, providing 650,000 jobs. It is a strategic location. Regarding the harbour metropolis, it covers the existing metropolises of the two sides of the harbour, as well as the Kao Yi Chau artificial island. In terms of commerce and finance, it's a competitive metropolis. Hong Kong is an important logistics hub. It's also an important doorway connecting the mainland and the world. We need to enhance our major network. We make use of multimodal approach to tap into our advantage as an international logistics and shipping hub. The studies of the strategic studies point out that with completion of major projects in the pipeline, as well as enhancement of service capacity, we take the service capacity of existing projects to the maximum. We think that this capacity will be able to meet the short to medium term needs. Majority of the bottleneck we see now will be resolved. However, there is still an acute demand in the long run that includes cross-boundary east and west connection in the northern metropolis, and then there is the south-north connection between the two sides of the harbour metropolis, as well as Cheung Kwan O connection with outside the district. We plan to build 3 strategic railway lines as well as the 3 major roads. In relation to the preliminary findings, we consult the public. We have consulted the public. After collating and analyzing the views received, the strategic studies propose to enhance the strategic railway road and also propose to add 2 railways and 1 major road. The 2 railways are the northern extension of the Northern Link and the NT-East line, and the 2 roads are Northern Metropolis, as well as another line. And there is the Tsuen Wan Northeast, Kwai Chung Northeast, and Chun King circuits. There will be 3 additional stations. For Tsuen Wan line, it will be extended to the west so that the Tsuen Wan line and the Central Railway link will be connected. An alternative is the Sha Tin bypass. In the main tunnel, there will be a spur line connecting to Shek Mun Tunnel Highway so that NT Northeast users road users will be able to commute to Tsuen Wan very conveniently. Another enhancement proposal is the Chung Kwan Ho Yau Tong Tunnel. In order to address the demand to enhance Chung Kwan Ho Yau Tong Tunnel connection with Kowloon East, at the exit of Yau Tong, there will be another road added connecting to Kwun Tong Bypass and the Eastern Tunnel directly. The other one is the Chung Kwan O South Extension Line. We understand the public's concern about reclamation. We will reduce the amount used by the railway and the size of the land exposed above waters. We also introduce the smart and green mass transit system to cater for service needs in congested areas. These systems will connect to existing railway stations as well as nearby PTIs. We propose that at East Kowloon, Kai Tak, and Hong Shui Kyu Ha Chun, there will be the construction of smart and green mass transit system. You can see in these two lines the systems in East Kowloon, Kai Tak, as well as Hong Shui Kyu Ha Chun. These are only preliminary alignment proposed. We've heard a lot of views asking that the projects in East Kowloon and Kai Tak to have a wider coverage. We have conducted studies in view of these views, and we've identified numerous difficulties. We need to further study the technical feasibilities of these projects and the impact on the implementation timetable as well as cost effectiveness. This is the first time we take forward the smart and green mass transit system, and in view of the aspirations from the public for early implementation, our proposal is to make use of these alignments as the basis, and in the second half of 2024 we will invite system suppliers as well as operators to submit proposals from the mainland and other parts of the world so that we can pick their brains. We expect that in terms of technical aspects, say uniqueness of the systems, maintenance, operations, we will get a better understanding. Afterwards, we will be in a better position to look at the technical feasibility and financial viability of the projects.
Regarding the highlights of the blueprint, we have consolidated the findings of the strategic studies, and we have also consolidated the implementation of all major transport infrastructures currently under planning, design, and construction to formulate the major transport infrastructure development blueprint. It can provide a vision for strategic railway and major road networks, as well as meet the transport and logistics demand up to 2046 and beyond. It will also serve as a framework. These two slides show the major road network and railway network. After the commissioning of the railway network, the total length of the railway will be increased from 270 kilometers to 319 kilometers, and the total length of the major road will be increased from 260 kilometers to 380 kilometers. I will then talk about the connectivity within Northern Metropolis and with mainland, as well as with the said Victoria Metropolis. Within the Northern Metropolis, there are two railway lines, including the Tuen Ma line and the East Rail line. There is also a light rail line serving Tuen Mun and Yuen Long. With the population moving into the area, the demand is bound to increase, so we will build an east-west railway backbone transport line for this area. We will also take forward Hong Shui Kyu Station, Northern Line Eastern Extension, as well as the Northeast New Territories Line, in order to unleash the development potential as well as the potential in the nearby land. In order to capitalize on the strength of the northern metropolis. We will also take forward the project Hong Kong-Shenzhen Western Rail Link to provide direct cross-boundary rail link to connect to Huanggang Port and Shenzhen Bay Port. The Northern Link and the Eastern Extension Line can provide access to Mankamto and Hengyun Wide Boundary Control Points BCP. There are currently Lok Ma Chau and Lo Wu ports, and the number will rise to a total of 6 in the future. It is expected that commuters and travelers can be diverted to different ports in the future. In relation to the major railway the major roads, there are Yuen Long Highway, Santin Highway, and Fanling Highway. The government will take forward Fanling Bypass and Northern Metropolis Highway comprising 4 sections, including Tin Shui Wai section, Santin section, Kutong section, as well as New Territories North New Town section. Fanlang Highway, Yuen Long Highway, and the relevant roads will also be improved. East-west connectivity will be greatly boosted, and the road capacity will double or even more. Next, on the connectivity between Northern Metropolis and Harbour Metropolis, with the population intake into the area and Khao Yi Chou Artificial Island, whether northbound and southbound traffic, there will also be greater traffic flow. Khao Yi Chou Artificial Island will provide a lot of job opportunities, and some citizens will continue to work outside the area. According to the population census in 2021, the working population on Hong Kong Island has a ratio of 1 to 2, that is the working population to residency. 30% of the population on Hong Kong Island are working outside Hong Kong Island. So we expect the same situation in the Northern Metropolis. That is to say, some residents of the Northern Metropolis will work elsewhere. In order to enhance the connectivity between the Northern Metropolis and the Harbour Metropolis, for the east, central, and the western part of Hong Kong, we will build a corridor. First, on the railway. For the rail lines connecting the 2 metropolises, there are East Rail Line and Tuen Ma Line. In order to enhance south-north connectivity, we will build 2 railway lines, that is Hong Kong-Shenzhen West Rail Link, Hongshui-Q to Tianhai, and Central Rail Link. In the future, the residents living in the Northern Metropolis can take Central Rail Link to go to Harbour Metropolis. They can also interchange to Kwun Tong Line and other lines to connect to other areas of Hong Kong. There will also be direct access to Khao Yi Chou Artificial Island, facilitating access to Tuen Ma Line and Hong Kong Line to different areas of the new territories, such as the west and the north. For the south and north connectivity, connecting Northern Metropolis and Harbour Metropolis, the number will be increased from 2 to 4 in total. On major roads to and from Northern Metropolis and Harbour Metropolis, Tolo Highway, Ted Kane Highway are the major roads. Tuen Mun Highway is yet another road connecting these 2 areas. The coverage and the traffic capacity will be greatly enhanced. Sha Tin Bypass, Tuen Mun Bypass, Route 11, Ting Yi Lantau Link, and major roads will also be improved, including Northeast Lantau Link. the overall capacity will increase by 60% to 70%. In the west, for south-north connectivity, the total capacity will increase by 60% or even 100%. Apart from the said projects in other areas, the government will also take forward major transport infrastructure projects. In Lanta Island, East Kowloon, as well as the southern part of Hong Kong Island. Huge amount of human resources is involved. We will scrutinize the cost effectiveness of each and every single project as well as the financial arrangements. We will weigh up the pros and cons and we will take forward the projects with the best resources in order to achieve the best cost effectiveness in relation to logistics. Financial arrangements, manpower resources, and timetable are close to your heart. Apart from the financial arrangement, this will be taken forward under public works capital. We will also use financing methods such as private-public partnership (PPP). The Hong Kong Institutes of CIC will release information and will also maintain a close dialogue with the stakeholders in the community in order to provide sufficient manpower in the project. We will also continue to promote the application of advanced technology. We will use the state-of-the-art technology, including the technologies on the slide, in order to enhance productivity by using manpower resources to the full. On the commissioning targets for major transport infrastructure projects, these will be taken forward in a unit of 5 years. That is, we have our prevailing targets in relation to logistics and transportation, and we will also further take forward the project having regard to the prevailing situation. The floor is now open for questions. For reporters who would like to ask questions, please raise your hand. Please limit yourself to 2 questions and identify your immediate outlet before asking questions. Thank you.
發問
Who would like to start? The lady over here, the one with the ponytail, from Oriental Daily. First of all, I see that you have talked a lot about different projects. What about project cost? Can you give us a ballpark figure? An estimate amount for all these projects, say for example the 3 railways and 3 major roads, as well as the 2 railways and 1 major road. What is the project cost estimate? Apart from the green and smart mass transit system, for the other projects, will you ask mainland operators, suppliers, or suppliers and operators from outside Hong Kong to be involved in these projects? You have asked 2 questions. The first is in relation to project cost. The blueprint itself spans over a long time. There are existing projects that's already started. For some, we will apply for funding in 1 or 2 years. So for the 3 railways and 3 major roads, as well as the 2 railways and 1 major road proposals, we're talking about a long time. We may have estimates, but these are just rough figures. We don't think this is an appropriate time to divulge information about project cost because we're unable to give any accurate figures. When the project matures, we will be in a better position to give you information about project cost. Just now, a reporter asked about mainland operators and suppliers. There is a project, Hong Shui Q to Qianhai. we consider whether other than the MTR Corporation, whether other companies may be involved. We take into account the characteristics of each project. We look at the terms of the projects to see if we need the MTRCL or other companies. That's our plan. Thank you. Next question. The gentleman in white. I'm from Hong Kong 01. My name is Wong. First, North Island line. Before 2046, as you said, that there is no urgency, but we see congestion there. A decade ago, in the 2014 railway plan, there was a mention. Has it disappeared in relation to South Island line alignment? I understand that there are technical difficulties. That's why there won't be any heavy railway line. Will you consider a smart system or sky shuttle? I see that the implementation date is beyond 2030. We don't see any progress. Is it the case that it's been postponed? For Island North, it's not the case that we have gone back on our words. In terms of planning of railways or any major roads, we take into account the planned population, working population, and other factors. We propose the Island North line. We think that there will only be a need for this service beyond 2040. If we do not review the needs of a proposed project, it is irresponsible. That's why when it comes to the projects proposed, we conduct a review from time to time. For Island South Line, we currently consider a medium-scale railway line to Pok Fu Lam. Where regarding this level of railway service, well, we see that there is a service need on the mainland and other places. We still have time, so next year, in relation to the construction mode and arrangements of the Island South Line, we will publish a result after a public consultation. Next question. Sorry, speakers off mic. For railway services, we want to tie its implementation with population intake. So we will look at the population intake of Wah Fu Estate, and we will try to complete the project as soon as possible. Next, the lady with long hair in the third row. I'm from Commercial Radio. First, you just now mentioned that there is no project cost estimate. Well, there was a dedicated office for major projects, that is, Office for the Financing of Major Development Projects. Are there projects that have had decisions made on financing options? Well, there are mainland companies that mentioned that in Hong Kong, Guangdong, Hong Kong, there is a study about railway service that travels at 650 kilometers per hour. Can you coordinate? Are you sure that you'll be able to coordinate all these different projects so that there won't be any duplication? And the one that I mentioned before was maglev. The Office on Financing Major Infrastructure Projects have just had their meeting. When it comes to project implementation, they will consider the financing options. Well, the Office for the Financing of Major Development Projects will consider the financing options of major projects. We will consult them in due course. About that maglev project, well, there are task forces or working groups on cross-boundary service. That is the task force for cross-boundary railway infrastructure. If we have any updates, when we have any updates, we will give you a report.
Well, the second row, the lady wearing long hair. Good afternoon, I'm from Ming Pao. For North Island Line, a decade ago you mentioned that you would take it forward, but you are not going to take it forward, so how are you going to answer the public's needs? The administration said that the Hong Kong line cannot meet the demand, and there will be connectivity with artificial island. So how can the demand be met? Can you let us know how you, the reason why you're confident that you will be able to meet the demand? Next, for the financing option of different projects, you mentioned if we cannot carry out the railway plus property model, the non-recurrent subsidy will be used. For East Kowloon projects, for example, will the government subsidize the construction of the projects? How will you decide on the amount of the subsidy? About the west part of the South Kowloon line, yet another transport mode will be used. What about the alignment? It may be different. When will you have the alignment proposal? Will it be related to Sky Shuttle, autonomous rail rapid transit, and bus rapid transit? Will the technology be rolled out at the same time? For North Hong Kong Island Line, when we investigate the needs, we do not just start with the starting point and the end point of the railway line. Instead, we take a look at the entire railway line. We consider the changes in ridership, for example. If there may be population changes causing differences in commuting numbers, take Kaohsiung Artificial Island, for example. There will be a line connecting to West Hong Kong Island to the railway network of Hong Kong Island. It will have an impact on the commuting mode as well as the number of commuters in northern Hong Kong Island. So we take a look at the entire railway network in Hong Kong and we conduct an analysis. Before 2040s, we do not need North Hong Kong Island line. In relation to financing options, usually we use railway plus property mode. But of course, this is not carved in stone. Actually, in the past, there were railway projects which did not use railway plus property model. For example, for Island West, this is one of the examples. So we have regard to the prevailing situation as well as the needs to choose the best financing option for the projects. For South Hong Kong Island line, from a heavy railway system to a smaller to medium scale railway system, in the development blueprint, we have already stated the reasons. That is because for a medium scale railway line, the alignment is more flexible. After all, the system design is different. So the alignment may be a little bit different from the heavy railway system. But after all, the railway system provides services to citizens as well as the working population. Despite changes in the alignment, the stations will still have to be in densely populated areas. The lady with glasses over here.
From TMHK, so I'm sorry to be repetitive. My first question is about the cost estimate. You said it's not suitable to put a price tag as of now. Could you give us some explanation, because you have now presented a very complete blueprint for the future development of the infrastructure. And the second question is about the timeline for the smart and green transport system, the 3 transport systems. So you said you are inviting suppliers to submit interest in, I think, second half of next year, but you're estimating that these systems would not be complete until 2034. That is a decade from now. So could you explain why it would take 10 years at least to build these systems? And last question about the North Island line. Could you also explain why it would be a responsible thing not to do it, because the government has promised to do it before that? Thank you.
The first question relates to the cost estimate. I have already said that it's a bit premature for us to release the cost estimate for projects that will commence construction probably 10 years from now, because there are many variables in producing the cost estimate, and I don't think it would be good to have a cost estimate which may not be realistic to reflect the variables involved. Second, on the timeline for the we call the GTS, Green Mass Transit System. We are now, and actually next year, for the 2 systems at Kai Tak and Kowloon East, we are going to invite the expression of interest from interested suppliers on asking them to submit information. And at the same time, we will continue to work on the preliminary planning and the design, because it's important that the situation is that for example, Kowloon East, the difficulty lies on the fact that the alignment will run along congested residential areas and at a hilly terrain. So we need to plan and design the alignment that makes it viable. Viable means that it can be buildable and it will cause the least disturbance to the traffic as well as residents nearby. So we take time, we need some time to do the analysis. And for the construction, I won't underestimate the time for constructing the 7-kilometer green mass transit system, because in last month I had a site inspection with our chief executive. We were at the spots near the Leon Road. Leon Road, because we have to run the alignment along the existing heavily trafficked road. So the construction may take longer than expected because we have to take care of the nearby residents as well as the traffic. So adding all these components together, it may take 10 years or so for completing the project. But I promise you that we will try every effort to advance the implementation so that residents or citizens nearby can enjoy the transit system as early as possible. And the last question relate to NIL, North Island Line. I have explained in Cantonese in the previous question that we reviewed the whole network and find that the patronage along we call the NIL, is not as heavy as we predicted before. So that is why we draw a conclusion that NIL should not be needed before 2040s. That conclusion has been shown in the blueprint.
最後兩條啊，嗰邊最後嗰一行嗰位記者，角落頭嗰位。
The gentleman in the corner, the lady at the corner. I'm from Tsingtao. I would like to talk about Island West to Lantau Northeast. It is the fourth tunnel. What is the impact on the railway, the tunnel traffic diversion? In relation to financing, you talk about financing options, and there is one non-recurrent subsidy. What is it about? That is this capital grants. And you said that the existing build, operate, transfer is not really feasible. What is the reason that is no longer viable? You talk about the link from Khao Yi Chau to Island West. That is the fourth Cross Harbour Tunnel. It is an important tunnel. Now we have three tunnels, the Cross Harbour Tunnel, Western Tunnel and the Eastern Tunnel. Capacity has reached its fullest level for the three tunnels. That's why there is the need for a time-varied tariff to be implemented. The fourth Cross Harbour Tunnel is important because if you look at the overall picture, the fourth tunnel will provide another bypass. If you go to NT Northwest, if you take the Western Tunnel, you still have to go via Kowloon to Tsingyi and then travel to NT Northwest. The route via Khao Yi Chau gives you an advantage. It diverts traffic away from congested area so that commuters will be able to reach their destinations in a shorter time. So this is a speedy option to travel from NT Northwest to the harbour metropolis. Regarding the capital grants, in answer to another reporter's question, I mentioned that for the construction of Island West, it's not done by property plus railway or railway plus property. The government provides a cash grant. The cash grant is provided for the construction and operation of the West Island Line. That is an example. In the blueprint, you find information about some projects. These projects may not use BOT because it is not viable. Let me give you an example. The construction of a cross-harbor tunnel may cost a lot more than 30 years ago. So if we use BOT, build, operate, transfer, the company, the operator, will need to have a reasonable profit or rate of return before they agree. This in turn will drive up tunnel toll. We need to consider whether BOT is viable. That's what we mean in the blueprint. Last question. If there are no other questions, that's the end of the press conference. Thank you.